even going, you know, more pop culture. MTV's launching MTV Geek in October. What? Yeah. Geekish.
Yeah, well, they play video. Yeah. No, they show videos. They have video. They show MTV shows videos at 3 o'clock in the morning.
They show music videos at
3 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly.
In Mom's basement.
Your character in Supernatural is Crowley. I was wondering if you or the writers were aware or drew on Crowley.
Never heard of Alistair Crowley, is what you can ask me?
Well, no, I've heard about Alistair Crowley. There's another name in Crowley in the book that
Of course. It's great, I've heard that. I've seen the book. I actually haven't read it. I've signed a bunch of copies of it this weekend. I was like, you'd be really good at this role. It's fun. Ben Edlund created the character. He created a character called Alistair, and he created a character called Crowley, so I would pretty much guess that was where that was coming from. Man, it's so much fun. I mean, I used to watch Supernatural in the beginning. I love the voice, the voice is great. And the show evolved, and I kind of lost track of it. And I always promised Kim Evans that Kim Evans, he's like, you got to do this show, Mark, you got to do this show. I'm like, okay, I'll do this show. And it didn't end up happening, and then this character came up, and I just laughed my ass off. I said to you, I'm doing this crosswise. It's just like making people uncomfortable. And it's sort of evolved thanks to fans and thanks to yourselves, which is what it's about. Without you, it would be nothing. It's evolved into something that it's become an awful lot of fun in the supernatural world. So yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll move more in the direction of that work. It'll be kind of fun too.
And I was just wondering, hearing how most of us in here are geek, do y'all have a particularly geeky movement y'all are all proud of?
I love the fact that I can get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning from an executive producer who holds the fate of my life in their hands, asking me for a network password to their internet. Hey, do you have any password for my Mac? Like, yeah. I thought you were going to give me a series. Any like cool fan moments? Have you ever like completely fanned out? Gone to this and this and just, oh my god, look what I'm playing with.
I always do that with, I'm doing this with Gary Oldman. So me and Henry Jones. Hello.
So, I know his mom.
Well, do you?
Yeah, his mom.
And of course, he's the little boy saying, "You crazy too."
It really is cool. I mean, it's really wonderful. Yeah. You, do you have any like that?
I feel a little bit like that when I'm on Smallville. We're all in our superhero costumes, and I'm like, you're like in a comic book. Superman's right there. It's all lit really pretty, and you know, Superman doesn't look real. And it's like, you know, they make him look like he's, you know, doesn't have any facial hair. So he's got, you know, this baby face, and yeah, it's kind of. My first episode I did was Siren, and there was that big fight scene in Lex Luthor's mansion. And there's like Lex Luthor and me and Green Arrow and Superman, and that was kind of geeky for me.
Absolutely. Inside.
You both play heroes and villains. And one of the things that's come up has been issues of movement, particularly in the taxi costume, that convey the idea of heroism. I was wondering if you could give an example of a particularly good stage direction that each of you could see on how, where you really say, oh, okay, I get it now. Convey either heroism or villainy through movement. Walking like a hero, talking like a villain, or something like that.
Well, I think, I don't know if I imagine you probably got this direction. Glenn Winter, who directed the first part of Absolute Justice, it was funny, now, I didn't really watch much of Smallville, now actually doing some revisionist research on it. And watching the show now, it's hilarious because they have this stock hero shot. It's just, you see it all the time, but there's a way. I didn't know this. There's like a specific direction about how to stand when you're getting this hero shot, how the heroes enter the room. And literally, they take stuff from, we were talking about when we were talking about the Hawkman poses. Like, there's the typical Spider-Man poses and whatnot. There's these Hawkman poses. It's when you're flying, there's the one leg behind the other up like that kind of thing. You're keying on this, and this is great. I love this. Everybody had to do it. I'm sure you do too. It's this one when you enter the room.
Yeah.
And if you watch the show with that in mind, it's funny because when I was saying it, you keep seeing it over and over. Whenever Zod enters the room, he always does it like that. And what's funny is I'd kind of forgotten this, and then when I went back to do the second episode this year, S.H.I.E.L.D., that they were shooting Carter Hall's entrance into this tent, and then one of the one for the Comic-Con panel thing, and one just for the show. And I'd kind of forgotten it, so Glenn walks up to me and he sort of says, the entrance is a little soft, it's like a little weak. Can you sort of, I said, you mean butch up? So he said, yes, and all I did, because it really feels dorky when you're doing it, because you feel like a total knob. Because it's so posy, right? But at the same time, when you watch it, the way the camera goes, because it kind of swoops up and under to a certain height, it really gives you that kind of heroic thing, looking up kind of hero shot. It really works once you do it. It doesn't look goofy, but you feel like a total ass. Watch the show now with that in mind. You'll see how many of the quote-unquote superheroes or villains enter a room doing exactly that.
Thank you.
Also, when they have like a group of a few of us, there's a specific, there's that long hero shot, literally the hero shot, where they like fan us, and Tom's in the middle, and he's got us on either side or whatever, and it's very choreographed.
Yeah.
You've given us a new drinking game.
There we go. Woo! All right.
I had a piece of direction. The first Battlestar was Summers Horizons, and about 27 pages apart. I've got that in the episode. Speeches that were just pages and pages, but beautiful poetry, which I actually wanted to display. But in the middle of the interrogation with the six, that I was interrogating the six, who was the star witness for the prosecution, right in the middle was an action line that I've never forgotten. People always used to ask me, how much is the Battlestar was edited, how much of it was written? And I went one time an interviewer asked me, and I grabbed the script and I read this piece out. It was a piece of stage direction, which was in the middle of that speech. It says, Lee looks up, the nodded six, a grown man who removes his glasses for the first time, revealing eyes so exquisitely human as to require the veiling or unveiling at will.
Wow.
You realize that's a stage direction. I'm going to do that. I'm not tired, because you're just that was the standard of writing that was there. And if you ever get the opportunity to read any of it, it is just so beautifully composed. And these are the things that slip by. He moves happily to the left is not the way it was. It was written really, really well. So sometimes you get gems in there, novellas.
And sometimes you get these really ridiculous lines. Like I have one on Smallville that they cut. I should be able to impact the scan shift frequency scaling they use as safeguards and directly route normal safe algorithms to embed frequency anomalies into the surface area and subsequently any hardware. And they cut it. This is on Tuesday. No, okay, so I worked on Stargate. This was on Tuesday. Shift frequency scaling they use as safeguards and directly route thermal safe algorithms to embed frequency anomalies into the surface area and subsequently any hardware. Yes, I can do it. Are we really going to bury him alive, I think is what I say. I mean, are we really going to bury him alive? It was supposed to be kind of a joke that, Black Canary is really smart and Clark is like, what?